5 sensories need to pull away. How do you know that 5 sensories are needing some space and how you can give it to them as a 6th sensory? 5 sensories need space depending on who they are as a 5 sensory. So pull-aways usually happen after there has been a big burst of estrogen, a big burst of connection, a big burst of good, enjoyable quality time. So when those times are over, people tend to need a break. And you'd think, well, they had such a good time, why do they need a break? Wouldn't they want to go on more and more and more good times? And yes, that's true. They do want more good times. Depending on who the 5 sensory is, though, it depends if they're introverted, if they're extroverted. Introverts need more time to recharge. Men also, as a gender, have more testosterone. So when they're indulging in the estrogen moments, when they're with women and connecting, they need a break after they're done. They need to go back and do something to amp up their testosterone. And even women can be a bit like that. It really depends on the balance of your hormones and who you are as a person, what your priorities are. But when you've had a really good connection with somebody, sometimes even when a date has gone really, really well, you could need more of a break at the end because the date has gone on a long time. Like I know for me as a 6 sensory, I'm not a 5 sensory, but I have a need to pull away because it can give me a draining feeling to spend a lot of time with a 5 sensory if it's a long, long time. If we spent the day together or the day and the night together, I need a little bit of peace and quiet to unplug and recharge. Like maybe I wake up early in the morning the next morning and I clean up or I work on a project, and that's one way that I unplug from 5 sensories after I've been spending a lot of time with them, because I can feel quite tired. And so 6 sensories have this need at times to pull away. Some don't. I mean, it really depends on the 6th sensory. Maybe they really love these bursts of estrogen and so they want to keep going and going and going. I think you all know yourselves best. Usually men need more of a break than women do. I know that's generalizing by gender, but it's because of the hormonal balance and the estrogen that comes out when you're having a good time together, right? So men can tolerate that, but then they have testosterone and then they go and need to recharge like a phone. They're needing to charge on testosterone. They're charged, they're like ready, and they're full of notifications. But when the battery is drained, you have to plug them in. And you need to be aware of those needs in people. Women have that need sometimes too. The key about pulling away is you have to understand this need that people have. Doesn't mean that they don't love you, doesn't mean that they don't want to spend time with you, but you need to give them a moment to recharge and do other things, and then they'll come back to you, okay? So if you don't do these things for other people and you don't give them space, you don't give them time to catch up on their work, you don't give them time to catch up with their friends and their family, what happens is they become quite grouchy. And you might think, well, I haven't done anything wrong. I've only had good times with them. I haven't said anything abusive to them. I just want to have more good times with them. Like, why won't they get on my happy train? And it's like, because you didn't give them enough space. People have a need for space. And if you don't give them that space, then they're probably not going to have a good time with you next time they see you. And so it's very, very critical to give people the space that they need, especially if you're a 6 sensory woman, which many of us are in relationships with 5 sensory men. And I'm not saying there aren't any 6 sensory men, there are more and more of them all the time, lots of them. But having said that, this works really well this way. When a female 6 sensory is relating to a male 5 sensory, give them space. After you've had a good time, just give them space and let them recharge. Their batteries are low after you've spent time with them. Now, if you're a 6 sensory man relating to a 5 sensory woman, I mean, it could still be the same. That 5 sensory woman might need more time to get back to work and get caught up on her schedule, and then they can get together later and have a good time after giving her some space. Having said that, women are a little bit more tolerant to estrogen, so they probably don't need as long to recharge as men do. And I'm only saying that because of the hormonal balance, and it all depends on the hormonal balance. And then there are some uncharted territories going on too, where there are transgender people who are experimenting with hormones. And those people, that's even more unpredictable to know what their needs are in terms of space versus quality time. So I think if you're in one of those unique life situations, you really have to communicate a lot to people about what you need. Also, you may, as a gender, relate better to one gender over the other, and that's okay. Like for me, I relate to men better as a female, even though I'm 6 sensory and typically men around me are 5 sensory. That's who I feel comfortable communicating and relating to. I sort of know before they know what they're doing and where they're coming from, and I can anticipate and just say, hey, this is working or this is not working. And so once you are aware of the pull away need, it's very helpful, especially if you have an anxious attachment style, because you may take it personally, their need to pull away. You may think they don't want to spend time with me, but the truth is they need some time to catch up on other priorities and do other things before they jump in and spend time with you again. And if you rush that process, then you're not being very loving or kind to them because you're not addressing their needs. But a lot of people can come up with misunderstandings because of these differences in our needs. And I even heard about a story where there was a woman who thought she was in a serious relationship with a man, and then he didn't contact her for a long time. They'd like spent a lot of time together with their families. And so she sort of assumed that he had ghosted her and they had broken up. And so she started acting like a single person, going out because, you know, I'm single again, or I'm going to be single again very soon. The guy's basically broken up with me without bothering to break up with me. At least that's what she thought. But then the problem was the guy really just needed to recharge, and he thought he was still in a healthy relationship. And when he went back to her, it was too late. And so sometimes not understanding these needs can lead to misunderstanding and cheating on people, and it's unnecessary. It's hard because when you're in the woman's position and you do need to give them space, you really shouldn't be messaging them, right? So you don't really know what's going on until they reach out and they get in touch. But even just becoming educated on the needs that people do need space, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're in their bad books, they just might need time to assimilate things. This knowledge is power, because then you can give people what they need and you're not insecure that they're like cheating on you or doing something wrong necessarily. It's just that they need a bit of time to catch up on the rest of their lives before they jump in and get romantic with you again. And that's very fair and very valid. We all have responsibilities. We all have things we need to do in life. And so we can't just assume when people are incommunicado that they have bad intentions or they're doing something bad.